Mẹ chuột mới nó dọc cái nó bị thọp bùa thì lại đấy mà cái bùa về bị thọp nó bị bùa bỏ để bị bùa xăm lôi để hãy si thấy khỏi bánh qua lấy sắp hãy rồi.
Oh God. Okay, here we go. 2 days. 2 days. It's been 2 days, and already another attack. This time in Paris. Before I start, I evoke the right of the abolition of blasphemy law of 2008 to critique said ideology, in this case Islam or Islamism, because it's not all Muslims. It's obviously a very small group doing this. But who's to say there aren't going to be many more attacks like this? Certainly after what the German spokesperson said.
North Korea will send.
Breaking news. Unreleased footage from the Wall Street Journal just dropped of the late Senator Lindsey Graham on the phone with Benjamin Netanyahu. Graham was planning a trip to Florida to push Trump into bombing Lebanon with Israel. Listen to this call.
Do you have it on speaker, Ryan?
Yep. From the music world, the rapper Mac Miller.
I'm hype. I'm hype.
Block.
It says a lot about the American brain that they think this is.
Come with me for my.
Here for this, don't be
It's always so weird to see someone who goes, a man, to see a man who goes from being married, a family man, you know, especially if he's successful, he got money, and then his wife leaves him, and then like he has to kind of recreate, like he has to kind of become a bachelor.
ở Campuchia đâu biết bản đăng lơ kỳ là co pro đại ban vi pro ha.
Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Iraq have reported drone attacks 2 days after the United States paused its attacks on Iran, and Donald Trump's decision to suspend the attacks on Iran reflected it.
Making excuses. They're looking.
Almost every man has had the experience of something he
President Trump is not giving up, even though several federal courts have told him no. Today, he asked the Supreme Court to step in on an emergency basis and allow his administration and the United States Postal Service to decide which of you gets to use a mail-in or absentee ballot this November and whose vote counts.
And hopefully there will be no mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt.
Quick fact check, mail-in ballots are not inherently corrupt. The United States has been voting by mail since the Civil War. This is not new, but putting that conversation aside for right now, today, President Trump asked the Supreme Court to step in and allow his executive order to take effect before the midterm elections. A lower court and then just over the weekend, an appeals court blocked that order from taking effect in the 23 states who sued, plus the District of Columbia. Now, I've actually talked a lot about this executive order called Ensuring Citizenship Verification and Integrity in Federal Elections. But for those of you who...
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has a lot he wants to talk with President Trump about, not least Iran. Just before leaving Israel, he said it's his number one priority.
כמובן שהמטרה שלנו היא לשמור על ביטחוננו וגם להרחיב את מעגל השלום סביבנו.
So what does this mean? Well, breaking it down, it means Iran remains a danger, and he is not happy about where the US president has parked the war.
Iran took a beating over the last 14 days, and they asked us very nicely, please stop, let's meet. And that's what we are right now.
Insofar as it's inconclusive semi-pause, with global oil prices hostage to Tehran's intransigence and Trump's inability to force the peace deal he wants. Netanyahu will likely be pushing Trump over what he sees as unfinished business, Iran's nuclear ambitions, its ballistic missiles, and more. He may try to tempt Trump to greater action in Iran with Israel's intelligence assessments, expected to include Pickaxe Mountain, and what nuclear riches Israel thinks Iran may have buried there. It's Netanyahu's first visit since the war with Iran began late February, his seventh since Trump became president again. Relations between the pair appear outwardly warm, and Netanyahu needs more of that on this trip. He goes to the polls in 3 months with his leadership at stake. But his many critics at home say he's broken the previously unshakable bond between the countries of bipartisan US support, a vital totem for any Israeli leader.
Hi there. The Idaho Attorney General's office now confirming Brian Koberger, representing himself, has filed a post-conviction relief form with the Ada County District Court. Koberger initially confessing to the November 2022 murders of 4 University of Idaho students inside their home just off campus, pleading guilty to 4 counts of murder in a plea deal that allowed him to avoid the death penalty. Now, Koberger in a written statement to the New York Times saying, quote, "My actual innocence is my truth, and the plea hinged on false promises and blatant disinformation must be withdrawn." The Idaho DA's office says they'll do whatever is necessary to ensure justice is fully carried out for the victims. So here's what happens next. A presiding district judge reviews Koberger's petition. If he finds substance or a factual basis for the argument, which legal experts say is extremely rare, the state would then have 30 days to respond. For more on this story and all the day's news, head over to scripsnews.com.
This is reportedly the tallest residential fence in the United States, known as the Great Wall of Bezos in Beverly Hills. And it's illegal. So what is it still doing up? I'm LA Realtor Tyler Neal. Let's dive in.
This 10-acre property known as the Warner Estate was originally built in 1937 for Jack Warner, co-founder and longtime president of Warner Bros. Studios, here with Marilyn Monroe, who was a frequent guest of parties at the Georgian-style mansion. Jack Warner died in 1978, and his widow Anne held onto the property until 1990 when she passed, at which point it was sold to DreamWorks co-founder David Geffen for those aces.
This is how Chrome saved me from shin splinter. This year,
I just watched a woman creator from England tell her followers that Brazil is a single travel destination for young women. I'm not pro or against this type of content. However, if we were to say the same thing about Colombia and men, this conversation has always turned sour.
This is the Kola Peninsula, a crucial region for the Russian military, home to Moscow's nuclear ballistic missile submarines and strategic bombers. It's pretty core to their survival instinct. But Kola has a weakness. It's isolated, lying almost entirely above the Arctic Circle, and it's only connected to the rest of Russia by one railway line and one main highway.
Do you remember those Caribbean boat strikes where we blew up all these people with no evidence or a trial? Well, guess what? Totally backfired. Number one, it did not reduce the flow of drugs coming into the United States. And number two, it made it harder to actually prevent the real traffickers from bringing drugs in. Now, let me just back up and explain what we're talking about here. The Washington Post had this article today, and it's based upon, a closed-door briefing given by the DEA and the U.S. military to Congress, as well as some leaks that have been coming out. Now, you have these attacks, these blowing up these boats. There's no evidence. There's no due process. There's no adjudication whatsoever. It is blatantly illegal. You can't use military force against civilians. That's exactly what these people are, because they're not engaged in any kind of military campaign whatsoever. So we're doing this, and...
Hi, I'm Harry Lambert.
This small country who sold...
Because I've done more for you than your parents, okay? Your parents are good. I'm not going to knock your parents, but I have been better to you than your parents. That I can tell you, and they would agree.
Her father despised her for being born with a disability.
Who is the player that you never signed in your career, but you wish you did?
in my generation, of course, I would say the little guy, but the little guy was not coachable. But I have to say, in our generation, it was.
We have 1,000-year supply of gasoline. China doesn't. China doesn't. We have 1,000 years. We have more gasoline. We have more oil. Now, when you add Venezuela to it, we really have more oil. One day.
The original blue boxer used. Did you know that if California were its own country, it would have the 5th largest economy on the planet, sitting right between Germany and India? Or that if you took the Texas power grid and separated it from the rest of America, it would still produce more energy than most sovereign nations in Europe, like Italy, Spain, or even the United Kingdom. From a distance, the United States looks like one giant, unified superpower. But if you zoom in...
I know people don't have a lot of sympathy for China.
Footage I've seen today in Paris and Malaga as well.
Breaking just moments ago, the man convicted of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in their college house back in 2022 wants to take back his guilty plea and get a new trial. Brian Cope.
President Trump's apparent decision over the weekend to hold off on significant escalation against Iran raises new questions today of how this war is going to end. Iran's foreign minister this morning in a press conference said there's no ceasefire with the United States in place and there are no negotiations at all. But he did say Iran is negotiating with Oman on a plan for creating the necessary arrangements regarding the Strait of Hormuz. And on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday, UN Ambassador Mike Waltz said President Trump is keeping all options on the table regarding Iran.
What do you think is the biggest reason for the housing crisis?
I don't think successive governments have taken it seriously and put money into it.
Because a lot of people think it's all about immigrants.
It's nothing to do with immigrants.
So what do you know about this building behind us?
It's an old brewery building, and when they developed this housing estate about 15 years ago, it was going to be turned into apartments. That never happened.
And what's it like now?
It's an eyesore. You can see the potential in it. You can imagine that being some beautiful apartments for somebody.
So this building has had planning permission since 2006.
The only story I know is that the developers ran out of money.
New data shows that Trump's boat strikes in the Caribbean, where innocent fishermen were targeted, have completely failed to reduce the amount of substances being trafficked into the U.S. A newly disclosed DEA and U.S. government assessment of Operation Southern Spear shows that despite 67 boat strikes resulting in at least 221 deaths, there's been no reduced flow of illicit substances into the United States. A previously unreported or hidden DEA assessment admitted this. Additionally, CDC data shows no evidence of a supply shock or...
The relationship between the two leaders has been tense lately. Donald Trump admitting he called...
Hey, I know what you were thinking. You were thinking, let's talk about tri-point borders. Well, great, because I'm going to rock your world. This is the Amazon, quite possibly the most deadly rainforest on Earth. If you don't know what you're doing, you will not come out alive.
This is honestly where I've had the best experiences with the...
Jensen Huang posted on social media for the very first time. He posted on Twitter. He also posted on LinkedIn.
Major breaking news. So it appeared that Houthis are not playing with Saudi Arabia at all. So they just launched a major drone strike on Aramco-linked facilities in Saudi Arabia. That is near where the Red Sea is, where Bab M Memdab is. So one thing you should expect is the oil prices to...
I've got your oil... Today I am...